Good evening and good afternoon to everyone. Okay, I think Kishila is already with us, so let me then start this session. My name is Tenzin Thersam. I am from Tibet House, Germany. In the name of Tibet House, Germany and Tibet House New Delhi, I would like to welcome everyone for this open session with Geshe Dorji Damdul. And I would like to pay my sincere thanks to Geshe Dorji Damdul to agreeing to do this, and also our whole team from Tibet House New Delhi. I hope everyone can hear me, right? Yes, okay. Thank you. I just want to confirm it. Thank you. Yes, so this is I can also say like this is our first collaboration between Tibet House Germany and Tibet House New Delhi, and so we between two Tibet houses we also have a very special connections. So Tibet House of Germany was founded by His Eminence Thai Kyamgö Rinpoche, who was the first director of Tibet House New Delhi in 1960s when it was founded under the guidance of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And that's why I'm very happy that we could able to host this. And also Geshe Dorji Damdul will be coming to Germany in the end of June. So it's 27 and 28th of June. Kishila will be coming here in Tibet House, Germany, and also will give a talk. So we are very much looking forward to that. Of course, I don't have to give much introductory for Kishila, but those who does not know Kishila, maybe I would just say only two words. Geshe used to be a former English translator of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And since maybe 15 years, if I'm wrong, please correct me, Geshe. Maybe since 15 years, Geshe is the managing director of Tibet House New Delhi. And then since then, Geshe has been very active and giving a lot of different courses. There's also like Geshe is offering Nalanda diplomacy course and many other, so which you can also check on the website of Tibet House New Delhi. So without taking much time, I would like to hand it over to Geshe. So thank you, Geshe, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Thersam Rinpoche. And first of all, let me express my deep sense of respect to His Eminence Thai Kyamgö Rinpoche and to all the concerned, the members of the Tibet House Germany, as Rinpoche very clearly indicated that this is the first program, the collaboration of Tibet House Germany and Tibet House New Delhi. So it's a great joy to inform you about this. And it's quite interesting that Tibet House Delhi, the first director, the founding director of Tibet House Delhi, happened to be the same director, the director of Tibet House Germany. His Eminence Thai Rinpoche was first appointed by His Holiness to be the founding director of Tibet House Delhi, and it has been through several the directors that now that I'm taking charge of Tibet House Delhi, and Rinpoche they founded Tibet House Germany. So with this in mind, and interestingly, another point of interest, the interesting point was that it has been all many years but with Thusam Rinpoche, very young, dynamic Rinpoche, somehow we came in contact, and I see that Rinpoche is extremely dynamic. And then because of this, all these collaborations and many things were happening. And what a great honor for Tibet House New Delhi to have His Eminence now Thai Rinpoche invited to Tibet House New Delhi to do an interview. For an interview, we conducted an interview of Rinpoche because he was a founding director, and he is like a living encyclopedia with respect to Buddhist philosophy, with respect to Tibet House Delhi, and what a great honor that is true. There's a young Rinpoche, Thusam Rinpoche, that all this happened. So I'm extremely grateful to Thusam Rinpoche, who is now creating this collaboration between the two Tibet houses. Thank you so much for this. Now, without much ado, I'd like to start my talk.
Sorry,
And
sorry, Geshe, I forgot to give one, I forget to say something. So those who would like to listen in German, there's a simultaneous German translation. So please go down in the translation button and then choose the language into German, and there is a simultaneous German translation is available. Just wanted to say that, and I forgot it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so today the talk, it can be, for some it can be a little technical, and for some it can be interesting, for some it can be very boring. I'm not too sure because it's the first collaboration. So this is what I opted with respect to the topic. And so let's see how it works. Okay, the point is that they say why okay, so the first question is, we talk about the convergence and divergence between the modern science and Buddhist philosophy. So the question is, in the first place, why do we require modern science, and why do we require philosophy in general, and Buddhist philosophy in particular? Why do we need these things? This is the first question. So with this in mind, so okay, so we talk about the well-being of the humanity. Modern science is for the well-being of the humanity. Philosophy is for the well-being of humanity. Even arts, and for that matter, any discipline which is created in the world is for the well-being of the humanity. So, for example, the UNO, what the UNO is saying. So UNO, a body which is supposed to take care of the whole world for all of us. So what the UNO, United Nations, has to say on this. So the United Nations, it talks about the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the Global Goals, which United Nations member states in 2015 adopted this universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and so forth. So the idea is the well-being of the whole world. So for that matter, we require science, we require philosophy, and the Buddhist philosophy also a part of this, and the means to bring about well-being of the humanity. So with this, particularly if you go to what is known as the third of the 17 SDGs, sustainable development goals. That is what is known as the third one is good health and well-being. And what do you mean by well-being? The World Health Organization very clearly explained what this well-being is. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. There should be a complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Mental well-being is also included there. So with this in mind, then we see the need for the modern science and Buddhist philosophy. And the topic for today is the points of convergence and the points of divergence between the two disciplines. So first, let me talk briefly, very briefly, about the points of convergence between modern science and Buddhist philosophy. It is very important for all of us that the first one is objectivity. Objectivity, where the modern sciences try to understand, try to explore, try to identify what is the reality. What is the reality? So to talk about the reality, we are advised not to be biased, that our understanding or our concepts should not blur, should not come in the way to understand it, to have the vision of the reality. So to know the reality, we should have an extremely objective approach. So objectivity is the one thing which is very strongly a common point between modern science and Buddhist philosophy. This is number one. Then with respect to how to get there, by being objective, how to get there, so rationality, the reasoning, and the empirical experiences. Reasoning plus experience, empirical experiences. So these two are the ways by which to get there to the objective reality, to understand the reality. So these are the two extremely strong points which make the two disciplines converge. So for example, say, with respect to what modern science is, today we see that physics is the subtlest version of the modern science, and one which is extremely important for the humanity is what is known as the neuroscience and psychology. So the one with the physics, and then chemistry is in between the two, physics and neuroscience, physics and biology, or physics and psychology. So the chemistry is in between. And with respect to physics, to explore the pure objective reality, physical reality, there's a concept known as ontology. Ontology meaning the reality on the physical world. What's the reality out there? There's ontology. So physics is trying to understand what the ontology is, whereas Buddhist philosophy likewise is exploring what the ontology is, and whether they merge, whether they come to the same point or overlap, or there's a gap, is entirely up to how we explore. That is one thing. And I'm also going to touch on this area, major on this part, the first one. The next one is neuroscience and psychology. So it's about the subjective mind. Say, the neuroscience will talk about the neurons, workings of neurons, and whereas the psychology would talk about the psyche, and Buddhist philosophy talk about all three disciplines, they talk about this subjective experience, subjective entity. And subjective entity is studied by neuroscience in the form reduced to the brain, workings of the brain, and the psychologists, they would study from the point of view of the psyche, and the Buddhist psychology will study from the point of view of the what is known as the mind and the mental factors. So now, what is the differences that you see between the modern science and Buddhist philosophy? So one major difference is with the modern science, what you find is that they compartmentalize the disciplines. They are the individual disciplines, they're compartmentalized, meaning that physics is physics. They don't touch on the neuroscience. Neuroscience, they're neuroscience. They don't touch the physics. So the biology is the biology. Physics people, they don't talk about the biology. If they do talk, it becomes a personal talk. It doesn't become a mainstream talk of the physics. So physics remain physics, chemistry, biology, neuroscience, and so on. And of course, there are some philosophers who talk about the philosophy of science. So they can talk about all these combined together. Otherwise, these disciplines are all compartmentalized. So this is one thing. So because of this, some people they think that say, if whatever exists in the universe must be explained by science, or the scientifically should be proven. So what I would say is that science is an extremely rigorous system, very rigorous system, and we should, the human beings, we should be feeling proud that the modern science is there for us. Modern science is the result. It's the result of the effort of the human beings. And for the major contributors were from the West. We have to take pride in this. It's amazing. It's a great gift of the human intelligence that we're able to have the modern science. But to think that modern science explains everything, there's also one extreme. And then the other extreme is that we don't require modern science. We have the philosophy, we have Buddhism, we have Hinduism, we have Christianity, that answers everything. This is also one extreme. And modern science explains everything. This is also one extreme. These are all the great legacies of the humanity. So we should take pride in all these things and take the maximum from all these disciplines. So in this connection, second part, which says focus on evident, and part of slightly focus upon, this is a very important part. I'm saying that the reality that we see in the universe, the reality can be classified into the three categories. One is the evident phenomenon. For example, like let's say, what is on the Mars, what is on the moon, or let's say that so people are dying. 2019, end of 2019, 2020, people are dying. What happened? There's a pandemic. What's happened? So people are exploring what is the cause. They discovered the COVID virus. So we see that there's one thing which is the evident phenomena, which we see that, okay, people are dying. We can see the evidence, we can see this. People have this very severe lung infection and so forth. So what must be the reason? Then they go to discover the very tiny virus, slightly hidden phenomena. Number two, slightly hidden phenomena, which is reality, but the ordinary people cannot see. Only when you go into more deeper analysis, you see the slightly hidden phenomena. Then there's a third class of phenomena also, which is undeniable reality. Third one is very hidden phenomena. For example, like say the first one, which we can have access to our direct perceptions. For example, oh, there's a flower there, I can see that. Oh, there's a television screen there, I can see this. Direct access. The second class of phenomena, which we don't have a direct access, but it's through our reasoning, slightly hidden phenomena. Then third class of phenomena, which we don't have a direct access, no reasoning can reach there. For example, like date of birth. Let's say date of birth. And today we talk about the visible universe, and the dark matter. What is meant by dark matter? There's nothing really dark. We don't have access to these realities at the moment. So therefore, it's known as the dark matter in the universe. So likewise, there's a third class of phenomena, which is known as very hidden phenomena, which we cannot possibly have access through the direct perceptions, no through reasonings, but they still exist as a reality. That forms are called the false and what is known as the very hidden phenomena. Now, the modern science touches. Why I say that whatever exists, some people can be a little naive. think that whatever exists must be scientifically proven. This is our naivety, because what science can explain is only the evident phenomena and a part of the slightly hidden phenomena. So these are the realities that we need to discover, that we need to inquire, that we need to know. Okay, then the next is, if that, say, what UNO, what WHO said, the well-being, the third SDG of the 17 SDGs, the third one, the well-being, the well-being of the mental well-being, physical well-being, and the social well-being. So this well-being, we talk about the well-being, the question arises to relate with the purpose of life, the well-being, which the UNO. So if I talk about the well-being, many people may think is a religious discourse. Is well-being is very soft of the subject, but it's the UNO saying this. So we should not forget the main purpose. Oftentimes, in the facade of going the direction of the science, there's a tendency that we forget the reality of the purpose of life. So UNO elucidated what is known as the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and they're the number 3, number 4. These are very closely connected. So in this context, the question is, what's the purpose of life? And with respect to the purpose of life, they are great giants, they're great thinkers of this. Let me take into account or bring to light the 2 great thinkers of the world since the Homo sapiens came into being. So one, the Buddha, 500 BC, or they say 2,500 years ago, and Charles Darwin at the beginning of the 19th century, Charles Darwin. And just as I have a tremendous respect and reverence to Buddha, I have an incredible respect to Charles Darwin. Particularly when I was in school, I just took it for granted. Oh, Charles Darwin is a scientist. But later on, the more I think about, so as I grew, aged in my 30s, 40s, my admiration in Charles Darwin just increased. Just the Buddha, of course, we classify the Buddha as the omniscient one, the one who knows every phenomena. But Charles Darwin, we take him as an ordinary person. An ordinary person, one person able to talk about the whole evolutionary theory. That's amazing, mind-blowing. The admiration really comes to him. So what do they do? What these 2 thinkers, they have to talk about the purpose of life. And Charles Darwin, most of us, we already studied in what is known as the Origin of Species, from that book. So what did he have to say? What is that? The purpose of life. The purpose of life, the purpose of species is to continue the species. That's it, continue the species. Whereas the Buddha said, no, this is too simplistic. There's a deeper purpose. What's the deeper purpose? If you ask anybody, we all share one thing, that we don't want suffering. We want the maximum happiness. This is the reality. And for Charles Darwin, the moment you hit, let's say, according to Charles Darwin, the moment you hit age 30, 40, 50, and then your purpose is gone. The purpose of life is gone. So which means that you are redundant. You're obsolete in this planet Earth. Now you have to leave the world. But the Buddha said, no, you are very important. You are very important. And yes, of course, whether you are 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years, 40 years old, we all have the thought, I should not suffer. It remains the same all along. Not that when you were in your 20s or 30s, I should not suffer. That is very strong. And as you grow older, now I don't mind leaving the world. No, that I should not suffer. I should be happy. That remains the same. Whether you are a young little girl, little boy, or old, it's just the same. It remains the same. So for Buddha, they say, you are very important. The purpose of life is not just to continue the species, as you to stop all the fears, painful experiences, and to expand your happiness to infinity. So this is the purpose. So the Buddha talked about towards that this purpose is not confined to the body, it's confined to your mind. So therefore the Buddha taught a lot. Buddha taught a lot on the mind. Whereas Charles Darwin, his exposition of the mind is so less. It's so less because for him, what is the purpose of life? Is to continue the species. What's the species? Based on the evolution theory that he drafted. It was just like from 4 billion years. 4 billion years ago, when the water came into planet Earth, and 4.6 billion years ago, when the planet Earth came out of the sun, and sun came out of the Milky Way galaxy, and the Milky Way galaxy came out of the Big Bang, like 15 billion years ago. Some say 14 billion years ago. Some say 13 point something billion years ago. So this is the rough calculation. So Charles Darwin starts from 4 billion years ago. Charles Darwin, his evolutionary theory starts from 4 billion years ago, because his concern is not about how the world came into existence, how the universe came into existence. For him is about the species, how the species came into being. So that started from 4 billion years ago, when the first unicellular organism came into planet Earth. So from there till today, the Homo sapiens, the first one, 4 billion years ago, the first ancestor was just a very tiny microorganism, unicellular, one cell. And today, it's billions of cells. One person having billions of cells working together in extremely sophisticated, intricate the functions in synchrony. It took like 4 billion years to evolve to such a complex the functioning of the body. So Charles Darwin is focused on the body. Buddha is focused on our mind, because I want happiness, I don't want suffering. It's a mental state, it's not a bodily state. So the book of Buddha focuses on the mind. Because of this, Buddha's explanation of the mind is just mind-blowing. So oftentimes, His Holiness says that the Buddhist psychology about the mind, the Buddhism can really contribute a lot to the modern science. So it can give directions. What kind of mental states are there? So the gross ones, subtle ones, and so forth, where with the neuroscience is still extremely in the beginner stage or in the rudimentary stage at the moment. While within the last 100 years, even neuroscience has developed immensely, but still it is in a rudimentary state, comparing that with the sophistication of the mind, functions of the mind, which the Buddha taught. So the Buddha talked about our emotions. We can attain what is known as we can achieve what we are seeking. That is, to make your misery zero and to expand your happiness to infinite. That's possible. But for Charles Darwin, it's not possible. Charles Darwin said this is not possible. How it is not possible? Because Charles Darwin said that it was 2008 when I was in America working with Professor Paul Ekman, who in turn was working on His Holiness's book. Today came out, I don't know whether it's translated in German. The title of the book is Emotional Awareness. Emotional Awareness. So this book, when I was working on this book for 5 days, and he had been very, very kind. He passed away. He had been extremely kind. And all the 5 evenings, he entertained me in an interesting way. And the second day was meeting with his psychologist colleagues. And he asked me to introduce myself, explain a little bit about the Buddhist psychology. And when I talked about how to manage emotions, particularly how to get rid of all the disturbing emotions to experience the infinite ease, to get rid of all the fears. And one psychologist raised a hand and said that, but this is not possible according to Charles Darwin. So she was actually talking about what Charles Darwin said. From Charles Darwin's point of view, these emotions like attachment, aversion, and fear. These are some number one instincts. Instinct meaning that we inherited these emotions over the span of like 4 billion years. Within the span of 4 billion years, it is the evolutionary gift for us. It just came to us now through these 4 billion years of the transformation, the evolution, and finally the very sophisticated emotion in the form of attachment, aversion, and fear came into being. And number one is the instincts. It took 4 billion years to get to this level of sophistication. Number two, we require them. We require them for our survival. So survival of the fittest. Those who have these emotions, they are fit to survive. Those who don't have these emotions, they can't be fit to survive. They cannot possibly survive. So, see, why do we require these emotions? And he justified by saying that attachment will require the conducive factors, and the conducive factors will come to us only if there's an element of the attachment. Attachment to gather the conducive factors, and aversion to get into the non-conducive factors, and fear to run away from the threats. A lion comes, a lion jumps on you. If you don't have the fear, then you will not run. Then the lion will eat you up, your species will terminate. So therefore, we have to survive. For to survive, we require these emotions, and these are instincts. We cannot get into them. Where you have these emotions, attachment, anger, and fear, that person can never be 100% happy. The fear means very undesirable feeling, a feeling which just makes you feel so deeply, deeply down and never happy. Whereas the Buddha said the opposite. Are they instincts? The answer is yes, they are instincts. But it's not that they simply because they're instincts doesn't mean that they are with us altogether. We can get rid of these. And if we get rid of this, how do we survive? The Buddha said that we can survive even better without these three. These three will damage us. These three will kill us. But without these things, they can be, instead of the anger, they can be loving compassion. Instead of the fear, there's the fearlessness given rise to by the compassion and the wisdom. So these two will guarantee that you survive in a more successful way. So these three emotions, while they're instincts or they are innate, but we can get rid of these three things. So next question is, how can we get rid of these emotions for us to really achieve what we seek? So this next question. So for that, so I'm going to go through this. So this is how Homo sapiens, how Charles Darwin explains how the Homo sapiens came into being, starting from the unicellular organism 4 billion years ago. Okay, the next, this is a very important point: ontology and soteriology. What is ontology? In Buddhism, likewise, modern science talks a lot, particularly physics. These two will talk a lot on ontology. What is ontology? Ontology, reality, the objective reality. Say the flower. Flower, it appears a flower. Is it really a flower? So objective, what is there? This inquiry is known as inquiry into the ontology. What constitutes the objective reality? What is soteriology? Soteriology is the purpose. The purpose of your life. Seeking the deeper purpose of life. In a loose sense, in a vernacular sense, I may as well say, is a deeper purpose of life. This is the soteriology. Now, modern science, the difference between modern science and Buddhist philosophy, particularly physics, is that physics speaks on ontology. Buddhism likewise speaks on ontology. But physics does not have the soteriology. It doesn't touch the soteriology. That is the difference. Whereas in Buddhism, the whole purpose of the study of the ontology is get to the soteriology, the purpose where all your fears dissolve and your happiness expands to infinity. So that is this is where, for Buddhism, these two are very closely tied: ontology for soteriology. Whereas for physics, it's only ontology, the ontology where ontology is separated from soteriology. So this is one thing that we need to remember. The next, so if the purpose as UNO or WHO they classified or enumerated that the 17 SDGs, the third one, the well-being. So the Buddha taught about the soteriology. Well-being as taught, as indicated by WHO, World Health Organization, and the soteriology indicated Buddha. We see that these two can come together. So how to achieve that? So this, when I bring what the Buddha taught and what the UNO say the stipulated, when I bring the two together, then you will sense that, oh, it's for my well-being. Whereas if I only cite the Buddha, many of us think, oh, this is Buddhism. Whereas if I cite only UNO, you may think that this is more like the political, or more like the well-being spoken of in about just the immediate life. But when you combine together, then it becomes extremely meaningful. So how can we achieve this? This is what the Bodhisattva Shantideva, a 7th century great Indian master, where he said that finally what we are seeking, the fearlessness and infinite happiness, the two things that we are seeking is something that we can attain. We can attain, not necessarily that you should be ultra rich, you should be ultra powerful and so forth. Everybody can attain this. How? Because the final goodness, where all the misery stop, and the happiness, the infinite happiness, is not outside, it's inside us. So what is inside us? And the simple metaphor that he gave, a powerful metaphor that he gave, is that say you are here in India, and then in Delhi, and you want to walk barefooted, and you say, oh, please cover the entire Delhi with the leather. In the first place, you may not get enough leather to cover the entire earth or the Delhi. And instead, if you cover your 2 tiny feet with the leather, that suffices covering the entire earth. You can walk freely wherever you are, wherever you want to go in Delhi, and that suffices and the covering the entire earth with the leather. Likewise, to experience infinite ease, don't look for ease outside. Just fix it inside. The tiny, just get rid of this, get rid of self-grasping, self-centered attitude with the loving kind, universal compassion. Remove the self-grasping ignorance with the wisdom. So with these two things, then you walk. Wherever you walk, you feel the infinite ease and the fearlessness. So here, Bodhisattva Shantideva taught, where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the earth? Yet wearing leather just to cover the soles of my feet is equivalent to covering the entire earth with it. So this is the wisdom of the Buddhist teachings. And finally, why do we need the ontology? The ontology, study of ontology. Why? Because, say, the sadness, fear, attachment, anger, all these destructive emotions, they're all mental state. And then the mental state, how the mind thinks, that decide the different mental states, and that decides whether you're happy, whether you have to shed tears. So all decided by your own mind. And this mind, so here we see that this mind, how it behaves, it is greatly determined by what it sees. For example, say the prank, somebody plays a prank to you, coming in the facade of a ghost in the night. There's so much of fear there, because that cognitively you think the object is a ghost, and then you realize it's your brother. Then fear dissolves to see that it is not ghost. So what changes? What is responsible for that your fear dissolves and that's replaced by a sense of relaxation is because of the cognitive realignment of the cognitive thinking. Where you earlier thought it was a ghost, now you fix it with you. So cognitive awakening cognitive realization, that is what, again, the Buddha placed so much emphasis on to revolutionize your cognitive thinking. So it says, failing to discern emptiness, peace, and unborn nature, there is a cognitive reality. So what I said earlier, what I said there on the title, is that ontological reality, quantum physics, and Buddhist philosophy of emptiness. So quantum physics, because quantum physics exploring the ontological reality, Buddhist philosophy of emptiness exploring the ontological reality. And the Buddha said, failing to see this reality, you are doomed to be in the ignorance. Where there's ignorance, you are sucked up in the dream of the dream of the fear, the nightmare. So with the nightmare, till you wake up, you continue to suffer in the nightmare created by your own ignorance. So the Buddha taught that failing to see the reality, you are trapped in the ignorance, and this ignorance binds you in the dream of samsara. So failing to discern the reality, ontological reality of emptiness, peace, and unborn nature, the beings, the sentient beings, wander in samsara of miseries, having to shed tears endlessly. The one endowed with great altruism, referring to the Buddhas, through numerous means of reasons, drive the beings into this awakening, the cognitive awakening, to let people discover, that let beings discover that what I'm seeing is not the reality. So now next is that if this is what will be done, then how can I really bring about a cognitive transformation within my mind? How to bring about this cognitive transformation? So that will help us to manage our emotions. So broadly speaking, we see that, so say in the Buddhist parlance, there's what is known as a meditation. There are two kinds of meditation. One is single point meditation, and the other one is analytical meditation. So the first one is the single point meditation, building the gravity of concentration, focus, a part of the focus. It has its own great benefit, this one part. So this does not require, I would say, this does not require Buddhist teachings as such, but to really go deeper into this, even this training, gravity of the concentration, then the Buddhist teachings, there are some techniques which are extremely unique, which can say with the pure mental concentration, you can bring about a physical transformation. So there's something so unique. These very sophisticated techniques were also there, which you don't find easily available in other systems. Speaking, meditation concentration per se, this is not something unique of Buddhism. Now, what is unique is about the analytical meditation. Number 2 and number 3, they fall under the analytical meditation. And for the analytical meditation, we see that they find the purpose. Let's not forget the purpose. What you and I said, this is the mental well-being. What the Buddha said, that your potential to feel the total fearlessness and infinite happiness. Bring them together. Don't forget that this is our baseline for us to go into all these inquiries to see where the Buddhism and the modern science converge or diverge. So number 2 is transforming the cognitive faculty of ontological reality. So you discover the reality, then the awakening of your mind happens, which means that you discover the reality, your emotions are changed. Your emotions are transformed. For example, say there's a person, you think that this is a very person, and when a person shows his face, you see this is a very loving brother. Earlier there was aversion there, corrosion there. The moment you cognitively you see that as your brother, that corrosion subsides and it transforms into embrace, healing. So that is because of the cognitive, the reckoning, the revolutionizing your cognitive faculty. So it says transforming the cognitive faculty of ontological reality. This is one. Then number 2, expanding the affective faculty of mind. So now next is that where you see the same object. For example, say usually this is the example that I gave, that for example a wall dirtied by a small child's pencil sketch by a small child on the wall, and for People like us, when you look at it, it's so dirty. It's so dirty. But in the eyes of the mother, this is a beautiful painting. One time it happened. One time I was invited for a meal by my friend and her husband and the two little girls, two little daughters. The moment I entered the house, just the wall was so dirty with pencil sketches. I thought that no, this is, if I were to be the host, I would make sure that the wall is clean. Oh, this is so dirty. I just felt just pushed. But out of courtesy, I went there. I did not express. And the mother came. Mother meaning the lady came and said, Geshe, this is a painting of my two little girls. Wow, that's amazing. The same thing, we both acknowledge that this is the pencil sketches. One person sees this as very repulsive. But for the other, it's seen as a painting, beautiful painting. So what makes the difference? Because the mother loves the two children. This feeling of the love and affection just makes your mind feel at ease to see whatever you see, anything that turns out to be a trigger of joy for you. So number third is expanding your compassion, expanding your love to others. Again, you see that it involves what is known as the analytical meditation, and there's a very, very special techniques were offered in Buddhist trainings. Okay, so now going deeper into this, the map of the mind. So because the Buddha is particularly the Buddha taught how to transform your mind so that you're the purpose of your life. That what you want to stop all the fears, you want to expand your happiness. And this Buddha said is possible. It will happen. You have the potential. So for that, it all revolves around your mind. So you need to know what the mind is. Map of the mind. You need to know what they say the first, the map of the mind, and the functions of the mind. So first, what is the mind and its function? So what the mind is, I'm not going to spend too much time on this today. I'm not going to speak on this today. That is a very separate topic, very interesting topic, and the unfolding of which your confidence in the rebirth it will take place. Where when you know what the mind is very clearly, your conviction in the efficacy of rebirth will come into being. But it's a very separate topic, and very interesting, but a very separate topic, and it requires very separate a separate session for this. And then its functions, how the mind functions, that determines how happy you are, the quality of life, how sad. So all these are determined by the functions of the mind. So with respect to this, we see that there are three things to the mind. So the mind interacts with the object. The mind interacts with the object. This interaction involves ontology. The reality of the object, whether you're seeing the reality, ontology, or you're not seeing this, number one. Number two, the psychology. Which mind is seeing this? Gross mind is seeing this, or the subtle mind is seeing this? Then epistemology, how the mind sees that, how the mind interprets that particular object. So these are the three extremely important the aspects or the areas to be explored to really know yourself so well. So for the first one, ontology, to know what the reality is out there, the reality out there, this is known as the ontology, study with ontology. For that, our mind must be extremely objective, and modern science emphasizes so much on the objectivity. Objective, you should not be biased. Your mind must be extremely objective, and then you should not bring any kind of isms in your mind. So the moment you believe, you come up with some isms, okay, I believe in this, you will never see the reality. So the purpose of modern science, the purpose of Buddhism is to find the reality, objective reality. To see the objective reality, you should be objective. You should not bring any form of the isms and what you personally believe in. So all should be taken aside. So why objectivity is emphasized in Buddhist philosophy and the modern science, and particularly quantum physics or relativity theory. So why objectivity is required? Because that both systems are trying to explore the reality. So to see the reality, you must be objective. The approach must be objective. The next, what ontology do you discover? What ontology do you discover? Modern science, particularly quantum physics, I love this. What Niels Bohr said is that if you study quantum physics and you are not shocked by it, you have still not understood quantum mechanics. If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. Likewise, Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, emptiness, if you study the concept of the ontology, ultimate reality, emptiness in Buddhism, and the initial experience it described is that you will have a sense of fear, a tinge of fear, like what Niels Bohr said as a shock, experience of shock. So the Buddha, what the Buddha indicated is the profound, peaceful, free of elaborations, clear light, non-composite, such a nectar reality is what I found. Finding no one who can fathom this path, in silence I will return to words. So what the Buddha is indicating is that ultimate reality which the Buddha discovered is so profound that one cannot really, you find it so difficult for people to understand the concept, so profound. So there's a balance between the two systems. So next topic is very important, causation, which is again the building, which is again the baseline concept, which is again another very important concept in physics and in Buddhist philosophy, the causation, cause and effect. Say, when quantum mechanics, the quantum physicists, when they proposed the idea of randomness in quantum mechanics, Albert Einstein was totally against that. What he said is that physics doesn't work on randomness. Physics, whole universe is governed by the physical law of cause and effect, physical law of causation. And the Buddha taught whole universe is operated based on the law of causation, cause and effect. There's no excuse, there's no exception for anybody. Everything must, all composite phenomena should necessarily operate based on the previous causes and conditions. So these are the two things where the similarity comes in. Then the next is free will in determinism. This is a very serious discussion, again, a very important discussion topic, which, let's say, the physics have to explain it, which the neuroscientists have to explain, the psychologists have to explain, Buddhism has to explain, all the different religions have to explain free will versus determinism. This is a very important topic to explore. And yes, of course, there are many things which there are even the personal anecdotes related to this, but I'll just skip that. And in Buddhism, where these concepts come, this based on this basic premise of what is known as the four seals of the Buddha's teachings, four seals of freedom. These are for the basic instructions of Buddha. Based on this, then these concepts, the causation, free will, determinism, they all come into play if you're able to understand these four lines properly. Okay, it's a quick explanation, taking you to a tour of where the parallels can happen, where the divergence can happen. Okay, and the approach, as I said earlier, there must be objective approach according to physics, according to modern science, and according to Buddhism. So this is what the Buddha taught, that one time it was in Cambridge. It was in Cambridge that I used to meet a lot of physicists, and there was particularly one physicist who was extremely bright, and now it has been about like 23 years that I was there, and this physicist, extremely intelligent but quite difficult to talk to. Quite, I would say, I don't know how to describe, but quite difficult to talk to. He's extremely bright, and he can outrightly say that no, what you said is totally nonsense. This is his language. So at one point what he said is that in this world only physics is education. Only physics is education. And I said, why? He said, because Only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. Then I said, wait, listen to what the Buddha has to say. Then I cited this, what the Buddha said. Just as gold, the bhikshus and the wise people, just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also accept my teachings. You should also practice my teachings out of this analysis, not out of belief. So not out of your respect for me. And he remained silent for a few seconds, and he said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. So what I'm saying here is that this is something, this approach which physics, which modern science takes, the objective approach, and likewise the Buddha encourages disciples to really follow objectively, not purely out of blind respect. The next, what is the ontological reality? Okay, it's fine. So what is the ontological reality? What is said is that the Buddha concluded that all the miseries are because of the ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance is a mental state whose apprehension of the object does not tally with the reality. Does not tally with the reality. So then how to get rid of this? By introducing the counterforce. What is counterforce? The wisdom. What is the wisdom? Wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? Reality is the ontological reality. So therefore, to get rid of the ignorance, we need to inculcate the wisdom, and to introduce the wisdom, we need to discover the reality, and reality, to discover the reality, we need to employ the objective approach. So this is where the Buddha discovered these three levels of the ontological reality, also known as the emptiness concept at in concomitancy with dependent origination. The three levels of these: the first, dependent origination of causation, dependent origination of whole and parts, and dependent origination of mere mental destination. To understand the final ontological reality, we understand the third one. It does not suffice. It's not enough for us to realize the first two levels of the dependent origination to understand the ultimate reality. To know the ontological reality in Buddhism, we have to understand all three, and more precisely the third one. And you may be wondering, what is the third one? If I really go into all these one by one, then each one of these require another one session, which means total we require 10, 20, 30, 40 sessions. Okay, I'm just jumping so that you get some idea as to, okay, what are the areas where the Buddhism and modern science converge or diverge. Okay, this now with respect to the ontology. So to discover the ontology, without discovering the ontology, you will be sucked up in the ignorance. With the ignorance, we continue to suffer like the way we suffer in the dream. There's no basis for us to suffer in the dream. It's only because of the dreamy mind that makes us believe that the dream is real, that we suffer. That's the only reason. If you fix this problem, all the fears and the suffering that we go through in dream will stop. How to fix it? Wake up. To wake up means to know the reality as it is, to know the reality. So what constitutes the reality? Now, what the modern science has to say and what Buddhism has to say. So here, the reality, ontological reality, modern science today, particularly talk about the ontological reality. Neuroscience doesn't talk about the ontological reality. Chemistry doesn't talk about the ontological reality. It is only the physics which is trying to talk about the ontological reality. But it doesn't mean that physics is better than the other two. Other two have their own greatness. For example, say some people who is a footballer versus athlete. It's not that athletes are better than footballers. Know that footballers are two different disciplines. Likewise, say the different sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics, the biology or neuroscience, they are great in their own areas. Let's not say that one is greater over the other, but with respect to the ontology, physics is the one which is directly related. So what physics has to say about the ontology? For the ontology, we see that there are two things to keep in mind. with respect to physics, the physics talking about the ontology, they talk about the one, quantum mechanics, and number two, the relativity theory. So like 300 years ago, the Newtonian physics, when whole physics were dominated by Newtonian physics, the three laws of motion, then gradually it was taken over by quantum mechanics and relativity theory, the two theories. So these two theories, they differ. So one, the quantum mechanics, it talks about the microcosm, micro-universe, macrocosm, whereas on the minute reality with how the electrons are working. So on the quantum reality, whereas the relativity theory talks on the macro level, the macrocosm. So there's macrocosm and the microcosm. So macrocosm explained by the quantum mechanics, the theory of the quantum physics, that works so well to explain the microcosm, and relativity theory works so well to explain the macrocosm. But when the two are brought together, you cannot really come with unified field theory. That is what is missing today. So they cannot really join the two systems together, micro and the macro. They cannot bring the two together. Whereas in Buddhism, where in Heart Sutra, the Buddha taught, the form is empty form, the macro world, the whole universe, like Big Bang. Today, the whole macro world falls under the category of what is known as conventional truth. The form is empty. Empty is the macro world. The form is empty. So whatever we see as a physical form, the macro world, so underlying that is the macro world, which is emptiness. So that is the ultimate truth. So what is empty? Emptiness is a form. What is seen is the macro world of the emptiness that can be manifested in the form of the macro world of the conventional truth. And these two truths, they don't exist in dichotomous way. These two exist in a complementary way. The two coexist. So form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than a form. So this so beautifully how the two truths, the macrocosm and the microcosm, these two are intertwined by the Buddha's teachings. Where in physics, they still remain a gap there, not being able to explain how the two can be brought together. This is the today's issue with physics. So what you find here is in Heart Sutra, the form is empty, empty is form, empty is not other than form is other than emptiness. The microcosm and the macrocosm, these two are brought together to see that these two don't contradict. They only exist in concomitancy, in as they complementary to each other. So here, this is where the ontological reality from the point of view of the quantum mechanics. So here you see that His Holiness the Dalai Lama with the scientists, Professor Anton Zelenka. I'd like to talk a little bit about Professor Anton Zelenka. It was 2010, I think, 2010, that 2009, that the idol owner, that he was invited as one of the presenters for the Modern Life Conference in His Holiness's residence in Dharamsala. And so during that time, I asked a question on physics, but he's a physicist. And later after the conference, he came to me and told me that you seem to have interesting questions on physics. I said, yes, I have many questions. He said, they ask me now. So I said that, okay, we have to get out of this. This is for security reasons. We cannot stay in His Holiness's place for too long. Conference finished, we have to leave. So I took him to my room. I offered him tea, and on the way, I was asking a lot of questions on quantum mechanics. So this was a very close, intimate relationship, discussing on quantum mechanics in my room. And after how many years? After 12 years, I read the newspaper and it says, Anton Zelenka, the Nobel laureate in physics. He became a Nobel laureate. Okay. So his contribution in quantum mechanics. So I was very, very honored. I cannot say that he's my friend. I would say that, of course, I'm very honored that I got the chance to speak a lot about quantum mechanics with him. a Nobel laureate in physics, later to award his Nobel Prize in physics. Okay, so his expertise is on double slit experiment in physics, quantum physics. So this is his expertise, and His Holiness had a lot of exchanges with him in that conference. With this, now the same ontological speaking, what quantum mechanics says, and what Buddhist philosophy says, there's a great parallel there. Quantum mechanics says the terminology used by the quantum physicists is that there's no observed, means the object. Observed makes sense only with the observer. In the absence of the observer, observed makes no sense. So I think there was a renowned physicist. He said that whole universe is dead if there is no observer. This is what this physicist said. Whole universe is dead. It doesn't make any sense in the absence of the observer, which means observed as an object makes sense only in bringing the consideration of the involvement of the subject, the observer. So empty is observed, independent of observer. And in the Buddhist parlance, empty in the Buddhist parlance is the empty object. Empty is the object independent of the subject. So observer is the subject, and what is Buddhist they call as the subject mind, the designated mind is also the subject. Then the second one is related to how the subjectivity is explained by the Chittamantra philosophy. And each of them, we need to study them separately. So Buddhism, having said this, quantum physics, where the objectivity, the degree of the objectivity is rejected, and in Buddhist philosophy also degree of objectivity is rejected, are these two exactly identically the same, or these two differ? So let us not be too quick to say that. Let us not be too quick to say, oh, quantum mechanics talks about. I just see some religious people following some religious tradition, or our religion is scientifically proven. What's this? And they're trying to force themselves to say that quantum physics and these two are same. This, I don't like it. We should be very objective. What quantum physics says, what Buddhist philosophy says, these two tally, or these two overlap, or these two go divergent. What is that? That is something what I would say I will touch a little later. In Buddhism, there is what is known as the 5 levels of emptiness. 5 levels of understanding of the subjectivity, varying or the differing in the subtlety of the experience of the subjectivity. So we have to see, after studying quantum physics well, only if you study quantum physics, and then your job is to see where it fits the concept of quantum physics, the emptiness of the observed, they're telling with which levels, the 5 levels, as taught in the Buddhist philosophy. So that is, again, a very interesting journey of the individual who is interested in physics as well as Buddhist philosophy. So now here, this screen that I'm sharing with you is another very important concept about the emptiness in Buddhist philosophy and a quantum vacuum in quantum mechanics. Quantum physics, this one is known as quantum vacuum. Say, if you go to the extreme, the left side, you see like a very bright light. So that is what is known as the Big Bang. The Big Bang. Of course, the screen is not too clear. This is what I got. The Big Bang. This is from today. Go back in time. It is like depending on which version. So on average, we say it's like 14 to 15 billion years ago in time. So to the extreme right is us, where we are now, 2026. At extreme left, where there's a bright light, there was a Big Bang 15 billion years ago. So what existed at that time, the Big Bang, what existed? they call it singularity. What is that singularity? So the quantum physicists would call this the quantum vacuum. It's the quantum vacuum, and Buddhists will call emptiness. Vacuum means empty. So quantum vacuum and emptiness concept, are these again same, not same? So quantum vacuum, like the concept of the emptiness Buddhism, quantum vacuum, quantum physicists would say that it's not a vacuum. This can best be understood as a state where there's nothing to be described as this or that, universe, star, moon, grass, tree, nothing of this. From that point of view, it's like a vacuum. But there's incredible, say, incredible potential. The infinite potential exists here. So in Buddhism, we talk about emptiness. It's not pure emptiness. It's not pure emptiness. It's not pure empty. This emptiness must be understood in conjunction with the dependent origination. All the play of the dependent origination, the whole universe is contained within this experience of emptiness. So these are very similar in their context. Emptiness and quantum vacuum as the substrate of the universe, for the universe. So next, we see here that are these really the same, identical, emptiness and quantum vacuum? Answers, these two are not. These are not. How not? Same, the substratum, emptiness. Emptiness, these a Buddhist concept of emptiness as the substratum of the whole universe. It coexists with the universe today, parallel in time and in space. Where there's a time, emptiness exists. Where there's a space, it exists. Say, 15 billion years ago it existed, and today also it exists. Whereas the substratum, vacuum, quantum vacuum as a substratum, quantum vacuum, today, does it exist? Today, where we are now, in the world, the gross world? No, it does not exist. 15 billion years ago, it existed as a quantum vacuum. So once in a while, in some locations, not all locations, not at all times, but in some pockets of the universe, we see that there are the black holes, and within that, then the quantum vacuum can exist. So these are not identically the same. Okay, this is another thing I'd like to discuss. Quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement, and here he is a very renowned scientist, Professor Nicholas Gissen. He is Swiss, a scientist, physicist, and he's the level of the Nobel laureate level. His knowledge, he's respected to that level. And of course, he's not Nobel laureate as yet. And he is one of the pioneers of what is known as teleportation concept. Teleportation concept in quantum physics. So there, the two electrons ejected from the same source in the opposite direction, they behave as though like these two are entangled. This is known as quantum entanglement. And in Buddhism, there's one is known as the dependent origination, the play of dependent origination. So these two, there's incredibly great, but there's no objective reality there, but just a play of dependent origination. Okay, so what I said earlier, the quantum vacuum, or the emptiness of the observed according to quantum mechanics. So does it really tally with the Buddhist philosophy? So you have to know these 5 levels of the emptiness according to Buddhist philosophy, śūnyatā concept or emptiness concept, and then your job is to see where the quantum vacuum or the emptiness of the observed tally with which of the 5 levels. So these are the 5 levels, just for information. Okay, so this concludes our talk here. So just in quantum mechanics, what is objective reality? Observed is just nothing in the absence of the observer. In Buddhist philosophy, emptiness of objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. And it can be like the very contradictory statement, but this is a very important statement. Should anybody understand a glimpse of this or get a feel of, wow, this is amazing, no doubt you are actually treading on the path of enlightenment. You're treading on the path to remove the mental dirt of the ignorance. You're treading from the path of from the ignorance to the ultimate wisdom. Okay, let me conclude by saying that this is what Alban has to say. After studying physics, after studying Buddhist philosophy, what's your job? Our job is, with this, we bring about change in your cognitive thinking, where you revolutionize your thinking, cognitive thinking, and then your affective mind, let it expand with compassion, universal compassion for all the beings. So this is what Alban has said. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe. A part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feeling as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. And this delusion is a kind of prison for us. Delusion, ignorance. The Buddha identified as ignorance, and Einstein calls it as a delusion. So this delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting. And as the Buddha taught, that the ignorance, the delusion of seeing the dream is real, creating the dream, that puts us in the prison of the dream. Einstein said, restricting us to the personal desires and to the affection for a few persons nearest to us. Now what should we do? What should we do? Is bring about a cognitive transformation, revolutionize your cognitive thinking, and our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. And the Buddha calls this as bodhicitta, and Einstein calls this as the widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living beings. Okay, so here the Buddha taught that each one of us, everyone, has a capacity to be awakened. You have the Buddha nature, and this Buddha nature can be awakened by removing the ignorance. How to remove the ignorance? By introducing wisdom. How to get the wisdom is by knowing the reality. How to get the reality is by being objective. So this is what the Buddha taught, explained by Arya Nagarjuna. So with this, here is Tibet House, the Tibet House Delhi, considering all these things, where His Holiness the Dalai Lama is working so hard to bring about the world peace, to really bring about a peaceful, harmonious humanity. In this effort, Tibet House Delhi, they started a program, Nalanda Master's Course, which Thosam Rinpoche, they explained this briefly in the introductory the speech, that Nalanda course for 5 years, and Nalanda diploma course for 1.5 years, Nalanda certificate course for 2 months, and the Nalanda introductory course for 7 weeks. So this is His Holiness the Dalai Lama the inaugurating these programs 2016 in Tegra Stadium in Delhi, attended by more than 10,000 people, and with the Union Minister, the Shri Kiran Rijiju was there, and Lieutenant Governor of Delhi was also there. And this program has been extremely successful with the blessings of His Holiness. These are 4 programs which we are running, and the total thus far, like within the last almost how many years, like 10 years time, there are about like more than 10,000 students who enrolled in this, and people have been benefited. We are so glad that there are so many people who are actually supporting this program, like Mr. Dibesh Shugela and the Rimaji. They're all there, and all the people in Tibet House, there's so many of them supporting this program to make it successful, to make His Holiness his aspiration to create world peace, and this become a part of this service to this effort of His Holiness. So these are some suggested ratings for the individuals. Okay, so thank you. And if the Tenzin Tsamla Rinpoche, if you like to entertain some questions from the audience, now the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Geshe, for this really wonderful talk. The topic, the convergences and divergences of Buddhist philosophy and modern science. This is a huge topic, really. This is a huge topic. It's really um, impossible to conclude it in like 1 hour or 1.5 hour talk. But Gisela, you really give a sort of like a very compact talk, and which touches on many different topics. And as Gisela, you also have mentioned that out of this actually we could be possible to make another like 20 sessions or something. This is really like a big topic, and those who are really have more interested in learning in those topics, I would really recommend to join those different courses of Nalanda program, which is offering by Tibet House New Delhi. And there are also like many different length, so based on your time, your knowledge, and so on. And that's I would really recommend for that. um, yeah, so actually, Gisela has been very kind to offer still a time to ask questions. So I would say like maybe we can choose whoever have like okay. Is there already a one question? I think okay. I wanted to ask. So there's a, okay, this is from Sunpek. So just to give a little background, so Sunpek is from Malaysia. So it says, thanks Gishila for the very interesting talk. I have a question. You explained that realizing emptiness and dependent origination transforms emotions and leads to universal compassion. If the both if both self and emotions lack in inherent existence, then what exactly undergoes transformation on the path to awakening, and who is it that becomes liberated? Sorry for my English pronunciation, excuse me. And let's say like we will take maybe two other questions. So if any other have questions, please write it in the chat, and then yes. So Kishila, maybe could you take this?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to some Rinpoche. Thank you so much. And the question is about the say the with realization emptiness and dependent origination. If one is the expected to grow in your compassion, universal compassion, then the question is where there's no intrinsic reality, there should be no intrinsic self. If there's no intrinsic self, then who experiences this universal compassion? And who is that thing which goes from one life to the next life? If there's nothing there so objective as a self. So this is a very serious question, as Rinpoche, the Tosam Rinpoche so kindly explained, that yes, the fact that you ask this question, someone asks this question, means that you have the enthusiasm, you have the burning enthusiasm to know about these things. It's so important for us to study more. So I see here in this group where for example, like we have Jeffrey La here, and then we have the Tenzin Namdullah there, we have Ajahn Srinamla there, and Cholasunam Jasola, and the Venerable Tenzin Hamula there, who study these concepts for so long. So I would equally suggest that whoever asked this question, you continue to study these. I can see the potential within you to really understand this concept. So in short, the answer is that emptiness, the emptiness should be understood combined with dependent origination. Where the question arises, if things are empty of intrinsic reality, then who experiences universal compassion? Then who experiences what? Who? Where is this who? If this question comes, which means that the person only focuses on the emptiness of intrinsic reality, one side, and forgets the other side. Other side is dependent origination. In other words, emptiness devoid of dependent origination, it becomes nihilism. So where you're bound to think that then nothing exists. Whereas if dependent origination is divorced of emptiness, this becomes absolutism. Extreme absolutism, where you continue to be sucked up in the dream of seeing everything as intrinsic real. So how to get away from the two is by understanding emptiness in the form, in the context of middle way, where you understand emptiness, you are freed from the extreme of absolutism. You understand dependent origination, you are freed from the extreme of nihilism. Avoiding the two extremes is following the middle way. Where you understand the middle way, you don't reject the self that exists. What you reject is self-existing intrinsically. Intrinsic self is rejected, but self is not rejected. The happiness is not rejected. Happiness, the intrinsic happiness is rejected. Attaining nirvana is not rejected. Attaining intrinsic nirvana is rejected. So therefore, all the functionality is accepted while rejecting the ignorance, while rejecting intrinsicality. So this concept, where you're able to understand the middle way, when you understand emptiness, this is where you are freed from your question will be answered very successfully. Okay, any more questions? Raise hands. Feel free to bring your question. Raise hands. Yes, raise hands. Anyone? Okay, no question. Anyone? You look. Okay, there is one question here. It says, my question, does quantum physics point to emptiness? And does Buddhism teach us how to realize maybe realize it? It may be referring to quantum physics. This is a good question. I would say that I personally, from my little experience, I wouldn't say that I have experience. From my little exposure, I won't say even experience. I would say little exposure. From my little exposure to quantum physics and Buddhist philosophy, what I personally benefited is that the more I think about the quantum mechanics, more it helps me to go deeper into emptiness according to Buddhism. And the more I go into this, then I go into quantum mechanics. The tendency for me to understand quantum mechanics increases. So these two, I see, for me, these two serve as complementary to each other rather than contradictory. So what you said, the question asked by, I think it was Pasang Kop. I fully agree with you. The answer is yes, that study quantum mechanics can help you to reinforce your understanding of emptiness, and understand emptiness will reinforce you to understand quantum mechanics, that's for sure. But for quantum mechanics, of course, we need to have some basic ideas about the mathematics, about the concept of physics, the ground, the knowledge of physics, like the three laws of motion. We need of these on the basic understanding, and then we study quantum mechanics with the Buddhist philosophy of emptiness. That will really help us. Yes. Okay, there's another question here, which is being Tenzin. It says, my question is, how can AI help in transforming Buddha's teachings? Okay, so now is the world of AI. Everywhere people talk about AI, artificial intelligence. And with this, there are many serious questions. And I don't really want to go too much into this unless you are interested in this. So one question is that AI, can it really have its own consciousness? This is one question which comes so often, and people have divergent views, and I have my own views about that. But this is not a question which the person asked. So the question is, do you think that AI can help to understand the Buddhism better, or does it help to share this wisdom of Buddhism more? Answer is yes, of course. For example, like mobiles, all these things, the internet, they can help us greatly to give you information. And AI has a great capacity to AI is more like, I would say, is a more sophisticated version of Google. AI is a very sophisticated version of Google. So where you have all good information, bad information, wrong information, correct information. So this is the difference. It can help if you know how to use the AI properly. If you don't know how to use the AI properly, it can really, like a machine, meant to give happiness, meant to give you the facilities for comfort. This machine, if you put it in the wrong way, it can kill you. It can, machine can suck you and kill you. It happens many times. So therefore, it depends on how you use the AI. Okay. Any more questions? There's another question here, which is, what is Geshe-la's personal views on we human species are just a type of temporary travelers on planet Earth? And may we maybe not eliminate, okay, this is from Shaoli, eliminated by ourselves with no feeling of emotions for each other. Maybe will be replaced by being so-called AI with no, okay. So in other words, the question is that are we temporary travelers? 100% yes, we are temporary guests on planet Earth. We are temporary guests. And we think that we are so powerful, we are so wealthy, we are so young, and we think that we can dominate the world. No, after about 30, 40 years of being on planet Earth, you have to say bye about planet Earth. Look at Alexander the Great. Once upon a time, thought that he could conquer the whole world. And therefore he was called great. That great and His Holiness, the great fourth endowment, great. These two are different great. You're getting it? One is great because of conquering the world, stealing, looting. And one great because of the compassion, great compassion. These are very different. So with great compassion, you can really make a difference to the world with the power, killing, stealing, and so forth. This is great. It does not really make sense. So this is just the person forgot that you are a temporary guest on planet Earth. You forgot that. We forgot that. Are you good? Next question. Okay, there's another one. Anyone from the screen? Otherwise, there's one question here. For your talk, I have understood correctly. You have mentioned dark matter as an example for a very hidden phenomena. How could physics get at a very hidden phenomena without the instrument of so therefore, dark matter, is it a hidden phenomena? I do not say it's hidden phenomena yet. I do not conclude it. Don't jump to conclusion. Okay, you're saying it's a hidden phenomenon. No. What I'm saying is that there are many things which even science today could not say anything. It doesn't mean that what science today cannot have access, they fall under the very hidden, not necessary. For example, say one point. They say the relativity of time. During the Newtonian physics, Newton thought that time is absolute. And people all following Newton everywhere thought that time is absolute. So they did not have the access to the relativity of time. But today, relativity of time is, if they say absolutism of time, is not correct. It's incorrect. So now came up with a new concept, the relativity of time. So this is not hidden phenomena. Although Newton did not have access to this information, but it is not hidden phenomena. It is still under the domain of the slightly hidden phenomena. So these are things, nuances that anyway, I'm glad that somebody has some understanding of what is hidden phenomena, a slightly hidden phenomena, so forth. Okay. If there's nobody from the screen, then there's another question here. Please advise us on how AI can be used as a tool to enrich our own knowledge and to help spread wisdom and compassion in the world. Okay, so basically we see that how can you use AI to increase your knowledge, number one, and to spread this message to the outside world. I'll say that even with AI also is operating based on the algorithm is set by gathering numerous information from outside. It also requires information. The more the information that it has, the answer that it can give you is better. But the more the garbage information that it gets, more the answers that it'll give you. So that it entirely depends on the people who feed the AI with the information. For example, that there are many people who are working with AI. They were, coming to different places. They also come to Tibet House. Please give away information. Please give information. They're asking for the information. So Tibetan materials on Dharma, they were asking for this information so that the AI that they're building, it becomes richer in the information on Buddhist philosophy. So therefore, AI can give you most interesting answers. AI can give you the most hopeless answers also. So you should be able to say to see how to just provoke this AI or stimulate this AI in such a way that the good information are extracted and not the wrong information. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, say there's one question, but Rinpoche, the tourism Rinpoche, you have to decide when to stop. There's another question which says, recently I saw a video that Korea had AI robot monk taking vows, prayers, etc. Has the use of AI gone too far? So this is, okay, this is what I was about. I didn't really touch in this area. So whether AI can have a conscious, will have his own consciousness. So the answer from my point of view at the moment is no. At the moment is no. And ordinary people can easily be deceived by these smart people who create the AI. They'll give the impression as so like AI has has its own consciousness, and they make create unnecessary worry the ordinary people. So therefore, say the AI for the time being, it cannot have its own consciousness. But later, we never know. Why we never know? Because what is the AI? AI, as of now, without consciousness, it's just the algorithm set there. Algorithm trapped in the chip, in a tiny computer chip. It's that there. This is the AI. And what is human being? Human being is the body that we got from your parents, the substance from the parents. Parents and the gene coding, they are all done. 4 billion years? 4 billion years of coding done on the genes. Like the physical AI algorithms all set there. Now we need the operator. Operate for the AI. We have the human beings operate on this. But we also human beings, the AI, the component part, which already the genes we got from the 4 billion years of ancestor the unicellular organism till today, the genes are coding are all done. All done. Now we need the operator. For the human beings, the operator came from your past life, the mind. Mind travels and gets into this, and it starts operating on these genes. So this is how we see that we are, with the conscious. Now, this artificial intelligence, AI, with its coding, it becomes so sophisticated. Later, it can become very suitable place for the mind to possess it. Then AI can actually possess the mind, have its own consciousness. That's very possible. That's possible. Not at this stage. At this stage, the AI is very gross in comparison with the coding of the genes. The coding that what we have inherited is like how many years? 4 billion years. Just imagine. And the AI, how many years? It's just a few hundred years. That's it. No difference. So ours one is so sophisticated that it is so compatible to invite the consciousness from outside. Whereas the AI, it is not as compatible, it's not as hospitable to receive consciousness from outside. It's not. Okay. Roche, we stop here?
Yes, Geshe-la. Thank you very much, Geshe-la, for your very dedication. I'm very much admired because you like not only this, you have been also teaching even before this session. So, and it's already quite late in India. So, thank you very much, Geshe-la, for your wonderful talk and also I can say for your teaching. This is really amazing, and we are very much excited for your visit in June, end of June 27 and 28. The topic will be recognizing the mother. Yes, thank you, Marco. Yes, recognizing the mother, a song on the experience of the middle way view. So this is by Geshe Dorji Damdul, a very beautiful text written in a way of poem. It's about mostly talking about the emptiness, and I don't. There's like to talk about the emptiness in English. I think Gisela, you are the perfect person for that. So thank you very much for agreeing to come and to give and talk on this one. And those who can join in person, you are welcome to come to Tibet House here in Frankfurt, or this will be also available to join through online. Um, yes, Marco, can you stop sharing the screen? Thank you. And at the same time, I also wanted to say thank you for Greta Yangchen. If it's comfortable for you, can you please label yourself? And Marco, can you bring her in? Because she has been translating simultaneously into German for last 1.5 hours. And the topic is quite tough. And
Der letzten 1,5 Stunden und
yeah,
die,
Yangchen, we can hear you here.
oh,
And
sorry.
yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. And and Yangchen can also translate from Tibetan to English and Tibetan to German and the other way around as well. She can speak Tibetan very well. So yeah, thank you, Yangchen, for your support, for your translation.
Thank you.
And at the same time, so this sort of like event has also a lot of organization stuff in the background. So I wanted to say thank you for the Tibet House New Delhi team and also my colleague Marko Yankovic for your support as well. Yes, and last but not the least, thank you everyone for joining this session and also actively engaging with Gisela and taking your time. So thank you very much for that. And yes, and then at the end, I wanted to make a small announcement. So this open session from Tibet House Germany, we offer it every month. We try to offer it every month, and then mostly there will be like many different Buddhist philosophy scholars. And the next one will be Marco. Do you have the flyer? Thank you very much. Yes, next open session will be with Venerable Tibetan children, and the topic will be on working with anger. And this is the time will be between 5:30 to 6:30 European time on Sunday, 21st of June. So those who would like to join us, you are most welcome. It will be a new link, another website. So the new link, Zoom link will be available on our website. So yeah, yes. So then, Gisela, if you would like to make a dedication of this session.
Okay, integration done. So thank you, Rinpoche. So, and please convey my deep respect to His Eminence Tai Rinpoche. Also, my regards to all your colleagues in Tibet House, Germany. So, meanwhile, I request our staff to um, do the screen sharing of the intercession prayer in English. Mm, 55. Got it. Okay. Okay. For the dedication part, let us all the merit that I accumulated by being a part of this talk. Let us, the Delegate Matters thus gathered, for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And let us also dedicate the matters thus gathered, that all the wars happening in the world, the conflicts, the tensions in the world, and all the conflicts, disasters happening, catastrophes happening, natural as well as the man-made catastrophes on the global community, on the domestic level, they all be subsided, that everyone can take a fresh breath of air of peace, happiness, and the relaxation. So alongside, let us pray that all these learning centers of the Buddha's teachings of compassion, universal compassion, and the wisdom of emptiness, they thrive in the activities of study, contemplation, meditation, and that as many innumerable beings can reap the benefit from the learning centers of the Theravada Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, any form of Buddhism in the world. And also let's pray that all the centers who provide easy access to the Dhamma, such as Tibet House, Germany, Tibet House, Delhi, and all the other places, such centers, they also thrive in the activities, and as many can receive the benefit, take advantage of their presence. Let me personally dedicate the matters thus gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort in the practice of compassion, in the practice of the wisdom of emptiness, that you soon be able to see the dawn of the bodhicitta and the wisdom, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness, that your painful tears stop, and that your ease and happiness expands to infinity, and that each one of you are able to share this wisdom with all the dear sentient beings. May the teaching on the bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind of the bodhicitta, and the most fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness, thrive in the world, in every part of the universe. With this mind, let us recite the following verses together. In a land encircled with snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness good. All powerful champions, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And just as a brave Manjushri and Samadhi too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these matters in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. I dedicate the matter thus gathered to rest realization that deeds in the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for 3 times, and to the upholding the doctrine, scripture, and insight. May in all lives, through the fault of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. Having dispelled all inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disasters due to environmental degradation, may all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting on what means can enhance this teaching achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous efforts over countless eons. From my 2 collections, vast space that have amassed from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the shield-leading Buddha for all those whose minds are blind with ignorance. Let's say this praise to Buddha Shakyamuni together. And I'm sure that there are many of you who know how to sing this with us, chant this with us. And those who do not know, just listen to us and join us. Shage Gemo Kyolo Chase No Oh Mone Mone Ma Mona Swa 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 Oh Ne Mone Ma Mona Swa Oh Mone Mone Ma Mona Swa Okay, thank you, Rinpoche, and thank you all the participants and the translator, German translator. Thank you so much, and the assistant to Rinpoche who assisted Rinpoche for this program, and all the participants, both offline, online. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.